Hi, I'm Roxanne, Personal Wardrobe Stylist for women, and welcome to my channel. And in today's video, I want to share with you 8 common themes that I come across women's wardrobes all the time. As a wardrobe stylist, I am working with my clients day in and day out with their clothing, and I get to see the good, the bad, and the ugly. And it's really funny because when I start working with someone for the first time, a lot of times they're a little bit kind of nervous about, what am I gonna say to them? Are they gonna feel embarrassed about how their wardrobe looks, the types of clothing that they have, and so on. So when I start working with clients right off the bat, I let them know that I come from a non-judgmental zone. Everything that we do together is going to be with fun and love and guidance. But with that being said, I definitely do see some interesting things across women's wardrobes. So I thought it would be a fun video to share with you. Really, again, these common themes that are really not the best, but hopefully when I call these out, if you do resonate with them, or if you're like, yep, that's me, I've got that going on, it'll give you some food for thought in terms of how to turn it around. So let's jump into things, and we're gonna start off with number 8. Number 8, having massive amounts of clothing, particularly clothing that is not being worn. So I would say about 80 to 90% of the clients that I work with, when I'm going into their closet for the first time, they have an abundance. And when I say an abundance, I mean sometimes I have to go back 3 or 4 times to help them edit through their entire wardrobe. They've got wardrobes that are not only in their bedroom closet, but in other bedrooms in the home and so on. So when you have that many clothes, especially clothes that you're not wearing, I can tell you 9 times out of 10, nearly 100% of those clothes, they're not serving you. When you have so many clothes that you don't remember what you had, or you remember what you had, but you have no idea where to find it, that's a hint that you probably have too many clothes. So going through the editing process really helps you cull the pieces that you're not wearing anymore. So having that abundance of clothing, just to hold on to it doesn't make any sense. So that's one common theme that I see across a lot of women's wardrobes. So now let's jump to number 7. So number 7 is a good segue from number 8. When you have a whole lot of clothes that you're probably not wearing, guess what happens to a lot of them? They collect dust, okay? I cannot tell you how many closets I've been in where we've got coats, jackets, shirts, pants, skirts hanging, and when they're folded in half, you see a line of dust literally on the clothing, on the hanger, but then also on the clothing. So that is not a good thing, right? When you have dust accumulating on your clothes, that means that you definitely have not worn that in a long time, that particular piece. Now, the thing is that a lot of people don't really realize that our closets are actually pretty dusty areas. You have lots of fabrics and linens and things like that, and you're kind of coming in and out all the time. But what happens, of course, if you're not wearing these clothes regularly, is that they do accumulate dust. So when I'm going into these closets and I'm seeing that kind of gray layer of dust, that's almost an automatic that we don't even need to keep that piece. So I don't know if any of you ladies can relate and actually have dust accumulating on some of your clothes. But if you are, I want you to take a good hard look at it and ask yourself, do I really need this piece anymore? So that's something I see quite often. All right, let's head to the next one, number 6. Number 6 is going to be centered on the condition of clothing. So having dust on clothes, that's one thing. But then I actually see pieces that my clients are wearing regularly that a lot of times are just like, they should not be wearing these clothes at all. They have pilling issues. So over time, especially with certain fabrics, even like cheap fabrics, I would say more so, they do develop some pilling issues, but if those pills aren't being removed, it really, really looks unkempt. So I see pilling, I see fading. So having vibrant colors in your wardrobe, depending on your color palette, there's gonna be an array of what you can and can't wear. But I can almost instantly tell when you've had a piece that is faded and you've had it for many years, or has been to the dry cleaner way too many times, because it just has that faded look to it. So seeing clothes that have a lot of fading is kind of a tip off to me that it's time to maybe let that piece go. And then sometimes I see clothes that have literal like holes in them, okay? Some of them are teeny weeny, it's like the beginning of an issue. And then there are other clothes where sometimes my clients don't even notice because it's in the back or it's maybe in the seam and they don't see it unless it's stretched. Those holes, we gotta go. Ladies, we cannot be wearing clothes that have pilling, that are terribly fading, or have holes in them. The condition of your clothing tells people how you take care, not only of your clothing, but how you take care of yourself. So number 6 is a theme that I see a little bit more often than I would prefer. And this is women across all, age groups, professions, everything. So yeah. That one breaks my heart a little bit every time I see it, but when I see it, you better trust and believe. I call it out because we're gonna course correct and get those pieces out of there. All right, on to our next common theme. Number 5, how you treat your clothing. So this one is a little bit more polarizing in terms of what I see. I have some clients that are very, very neat and orderly, and they love having everything structured and organized. And honestly, when we're doing closet edits, that is so efficient for us to move through quickly. But then I also have other clients who aren't as organized, and that's okay. You don't have to be super organized. However, there is a tipping point where it gets to be a little bit kind of ridiculous, where you've got clothes that are literally kind of balled up and put into the corner. You've got clothes that are kind of smashed together. You've got shoes thrown in with your handbags on the floor of your closet. I mean, just a giant hot mess. And I was actually recently with a client a couple of weeks ago who, as we were going through her edit, for the clothes that we were deciding to discard, she actually just took it up and literally like rolled it in a ball and like tossed it to one corner of the room. So I was like, no. I said, even with clothes that we're going to donate, let's just kind of, we don't have to do a full, folding from top to bottom, having it completely pristine, but let's actually get it into a way that we can actually make kind of a flat pile and treat our clothes nicely. So it was so funny. Fast forward, an hour later, we're looking through her wardrobe and she's got some pieces hanging, and I see like something going on behind that area. And true to form, there were like 2 or 3 actually really great tops that were balled up and just literally in the corner behind the hanging clothes. She didn't even know it was there. She was like, oh my gosh, I've been looking for that for so long. So when you are wearing your clothes, when you're not wearing them, you want to always treat them with care. You need to treat your clothes with respect. That is really how you're gonna get the most out of your clothing from a longevity standpoint. And also, when you're rumpling it up in piles, you're creating wrinkles. You're creating more work for yourself. You're either gonna have to iron that out or steam it fresh again. So keep your closet as organized as possible. And at the very least, just hang and fold things neatly. That is all that I ask. All right, so now let's go to our next theme that I see in women's wardrobes. So number 4 is centered on a little bit of storage. We all have pieces in our wardrobes that we do not wear every day, right? Can be seasonal pieces, they can be sentimental pieces, or just pieces that you will bring out once in a blue moon, perhaps if you're like attending a wedding or something like that. So they're not getting usual wear every single day. However, what we want to do is make sure that we're storing it in a way where the clothes are not going to ultimately end up getting faded. And so one thing that I see quite often are clothes that are hanging in plastic bags. Yes, plastic bags that maybe when you bought that pretty cocktail dress, you kept the plastic bag that you brought it home in from the store and you have it hanging in that garment bag. Perhaps coming from the dry cleaners. I see that all the time. You take it from the cleaners. Hey, it's clean, it's fresh. Let me just hang it right up in my closet. Ladies, no. We do not want to do that at all. Fabrics materials, they need to breathe. I actually have a separate YouTube video where I talk just about that. They need to breathe. If you want to store your fabrics or your pieces, your clothes long term, if they are seasonal or you're not gonna be wearing them very frequently, you can definitely protect them, but put them in breathable garment bags instead. So let's not have our clothes hanging in the plastic bags anymore. And I'll say this too, with bags that come home from the dry cleaners, you know, dry cleaners use quite a bit of chemicals to dry clean your clothes. So you really need to have these fabrics like breathe. When you keep them in that plastic bag for however long, what can actually end up happening is that the clothes can actually fade, especially whites. So raise your hand if you've had a white jacket or pants or outfit that you've kept in that plastic bag for, I don't know, a couple of years, and when you go to pull it out, it has that yellow look to it. Guess what? That would not have happened if you let it breathe. So no plastic bags hanging in your closet, ladies, all right? We're getting down toward the top few. Let's go to our next one. Number 3. So speaking of dry cleaners always send us home with those awful wire hangers. Again, I've got a separate YouTube video on this too, because it's so important. Wire hangers, ladies, are like the worst possible thing you can use to hang any of your garments. You know, they're skinny, they're shaped in kind of triangles at the tip that will end up stretching clothing, also creating the shoulders to be misshapen. We cannot have that going on at all, and they're really not sturdy either. So that is one theme I see again and again and again, are those wire hangers. And a close second to that are going to be plastic hangers. These are the plastic hangers that you kind of buy in bulk that you can get at Walmart or Target or what have you. While they're okay for temporary use, maybe transporting clothes from one place to another, having them hang in your closet kind of permanently is really, really not good, because the plastic hangers have seams on them. They often have like little plastic kind of notches from the manufacturing that are just kind of stuck on there that can actually pull on your delicate fabrics. So what you want to use instead are slim line hangers, and the velvet ones especially, because your clothes will not slip off of those like they will on the wire hangers and plastic hangers. So like Mommy's Dearest says, no more wire hangers. All right, now we're getting into our final 2. Number 2. So this one isn't specifically clothing, but more so accessories, meaning handbags. So anyone that knows me knows that I'm a handbag fiend, and I am very, very particular about storing my handbags, and I try to impart what I know to my clients as well on how they should store theirs. So one thing that I see time and time again is when, particularly for top handle handbags, are when they are hanging on a hanger. Like you put a hanger in the handles and you just hang it in your closet. No bueno, we can't do that. That's not good, right? So hanging on hangers. And then sometimes on like from the Container Store or maybe Amazon, they sell these strips where you have Velcro loops that you can efficiently store your handbags kind of in one place. But what happens is that when you have your handbags, the handles just hanging off of those loops, it's undue stress on those handles, like all the time. So what you really should do is store your handbags sitting upright. Let those handles be free. If they're ones that flop down, then let them flop down. But otherwise, do not hang your handbags 24/7, because that's going to stress them out. And then over time, depending on the material as well, if it's leather, it may also end up kind of cracking the leather as well. So for more info on that, I'll include a card here to a TV segment that I did just a few weeks ago on how to properly store your handbags. So make sure you check that out for some great tips. All right, let's get to our number 1 theme, the most common theme that I see across all wardrobes. What that is on your body. Women wearing the wrong foundation wear, all right? So I know you've heard this. Most women are wearing bras that do not fit them well, that do not fit them correctly. This is so, so true. I see it on almost everybody that I work with. She almost is always wearing the wrong bra size or the wrong bra type. And this also can kind of extend into foundation wear. The rest of the foundation is wear as well in terms of shapewear. We need to make sure that fit is the #1 factor that you're using when you're buying a bra, when you're buying the shapewear, Spanx pieces, things like that. Because what you wear underneath directly impacts how clothes drape on your body. And we want clothes to drape on us in the most flattering way possible. So I know with the, you know, I don't want to say the C19 word here, right? But during that time, a lot of us got really used to kind of wearing comfort clothing, maybe wearing t-shirt bras and things like that. And a lot of ladies that I speak to haven't had a bra fitting in over 2 years while we were in lockdown. So if you haven't, like, this is the time to go out and get yourself a bra. Now here's my tip for you with that. Make sure that you go to an Intimates boutique or go to Nordstrom, because Intimates boutiques, their employees, their associates go through very, very rigorous training on getting women in the right bra. I don't want to throw shade or hate at the likes of Victoria's Secrets or Soma. However, these folks are not trained. There's high employee turnover. You want to make sure that when you are buying a bra, you're going to buy a bra that should be doing everything that it should for you. You're not going to find that in those kind of everyday commercial stores. So an Intimates boutique, if you can find one in your region, is #1, and if not, a close second would be #2, which is Nordstrom. Nordstrom is the only department store that does put their bra specialists through this rigorous training and go through this industry certification and so on. I trust Nordstrom wholly, and they do have a really good selection too. So that rounds out my list of the 8 common themes that I see that are not the best that are going on in my clients' wardrobes. And again, drop it, you know, I want you to tell me, as I went through that list, were there any that you were like, oh my gosh, Roxanne, that's totally me? Or if there are quite a few of those on your list. If so, I want you to take that time to kind of think about what you're doing, right? We are projecting who we are to the world. I really, really want you to commit to taking care of yourself and your clothing. And if you ever wonder about what it's like to work with someone like me, or you're interested in working with me, I invite you to book a complimentary style intensive where we do a deep dive as to really what's getting in the way of you being your best when it comes to your image, your wardrobe, and your clothing. We really do a lot in that session where we unpack really what your true challenges are, and then really talk about what a way forward could look like. So all those 8 themes that I talked about today are definitely something that we can wrap our hands around together. And I'd love the opportunity to help you in any way possible. Thank you so much for watching. And if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up, share the video, and I want to hear from you. I'd love for you to comment below on which themes apply to you and what you're going to do today to change that. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next time.